I'm a janitor at an art museum. Last night, the statues started moving. It's a known occurrence for security guards to go missing at the museum I work at. I hear a lot of terrifying rumors as to why, but I always brush them off as nothing. But after what happened last night, I don't think I can keep working there. In the daytime, there's about a dozen security guards patrolling the area, but there were no guards on the night of what happened. When I made it to the front door, usually a guard would let me in, but the doors were unlocked. I didn't have the keys to the place, only the keys to the bathroom and janitor's closet. I grabbed some soapy detergent, the mop bucket, along with the mop, and got to work. I started to notice no one was with me when an exhibit light turned off. It was way off in the distance. I thought I was just seeing things, or my mind was playing tricks, but I knew the light was on earlier since I passed the statue on my way in. I took my headphones off and called out, but no one answered, just the faint music from my headphones playing. That was all. After about 2 hours of mopping, I got the window cleaning bottle and a rag and started on wiping down the windows. That's when the light turned back on. I was closer to it, and this time the statue was gone. It had just vanished. I knew it wasn't the security guards messing with me. The exhibits and painting galleries weren't allowed to be tampered with by anyone besides the art restorer or conservator. It just didn't seem real to me. I was just tired. That's what I brushed it off to. And then another light went out. It was on the opposite side of the museum as the other one. Everything was slowly getting darker. I turned my phone flashlight on. I hadn't noticed earlier, but the lights outside had turned off, and so had the lights by the bathroom. I wanted to leave, but I knew I couldn't. It was only 12 and I needed to finish my shift. While I was wiping the windows down, I thought I could see things moving out of the corner of my eye, but when I turned around, it seemed to have stopped. Everything made me paranoid. The twisted people in the paintings, the way the statues glared at me, the murals on the ceiling looking down, mocking me. I was exhausted, and I needed to finish my shift. I wasn't just about to give up because of these stupid paintings and sculptures making me uncomfortable. After I was done cleaning windows, which was about 1 a.m., I noticed one of the statues looked out of place. I had memorized which statues were where. Everything seemed odd, just slightly different. The faces on the statues were different, or so I thought. I couldn't see it well, so I pointed my phone at it to illuminate it. The eyes were empty, and its mouth was shaped in a disgusting smile. I thought I saw crooked teeth, but I didn't get a great look. My phone died immediately after. I ran to the exit. I knew what the statue looked like. I'd seen it during the day. This was not it. Its whole face had lit up, except for the eyes, just dark holes in their place. I just had an hour and a half. I could leave, then quit the next day. That was the plan. I took a deep breath and went back to the janitor's closet. I grabbed my normal clothes and went into the bathroom. I flicked the lights on and headed to a stall with an open door. I slammed it shut and pulled the lock. I knew no one would walk in or anything. It was just force of habit. I closed the toilet lid and sat down. I put my normal clothes on the toilet paper dispenser and started to take my work pants off. As I was struggling to undo my belt, I heard a noise from outside the bathroom. It was of a door opening, and then the door shut. I waited about 10 seconds and called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" The lights went out and I held my breath. A creak echoed, and a layer of light spread throughout the bathroom and dissipated. The door closed with a large thud. I was stuck in the bathroom with something else. I closed my eyes and hoped for the worst. Then the lights turned back on. The blank, gray, expressionless face of a statue stared back. Its face was perfectly still. Its stone hands were gripped onto the top of the stall door. I wanted to cry. I didn't know where to go. I was so still. It was the longest minute of my life. And then the lights went out again. I managed the courage to crawl on the bathroom floor and get under the stall next to mine. I felt around and realized the door to this stall was open. I darted out and was met with the wooden thud of the bathroom door. I yanked it open and shut it as hard as I could on my way out. I immediately locked the bathroom with my keys and ran to the museum exit, wiping the sweat and tears off of my face. I got to the front of the museum and pulled on the doors, but they were locked. I didn't have the keys to open them. I kept pulling on the door, but I was met with a small clank every time. I ran back to the janitor's closet in a panic. I looked around and noticed that a couple of the statues had gotten closer to me. I know I'm not crazy now. I know for sure. I know all of that wasn't in my head. My brain wasn't playing tricks on me. I tried getting out every single way possible. I ran to the emergency exits, and they were chained up. I tried every single exit, every single door, and nothing would budge. I decided to give up and to lock myself in the janitor's closet until someone showed up to the museum. I spotted a fire extinguisher on the wall and opened the case it was in. If anything went bad, I could use it as a weapon. I grabbed my keys and prepared for the wait. I shut the door and crammed myself into the small room. I shoved the key into the lock and turned it until it clicked. I pulled the key out and sighed in relief. The smell of chemicals and dirty clothes filled my nose. I felt like I was going to puke. That feeling went away when I heard something coming from the room next to me. It was coming from the bathroom. Thud, thud, thud. I held the fire extinguisher as tight as I could. It was the statue. It wanted out. I had to deal with this noise for a good 10 minutes. My head hurt and I felt dizzy. I don't know what happened, but I remember waking up. I didn't remember passing out though. I thought it had to have been morning. I didn't hear anyone, but I thought it was was safe to check. I slowly unlocked the door and cracked it open a bit. Everything was still dark. My brain was foggy, and my vision was dark and fuzzy. I could make out a silhouette in the hall. It towered over everything, and it didn't make any noise as it moved. No footsteps or anything. Everything was quiet. The thudding in the bathroom had stopped. I opened the door a little more, and the hinges screeched, echoing throughout the entire building. The statue stopped moving and turned around. I slammed the closet door shut, or I tried to at least. I looked up to see a pair of shiny marble hands over the door, blocking it from entering back into the frame. That same face from the bathroom, devoid of life, hollow and soulless. I kicked the door open and ran. I didn't know where I was going to run. I ran as fast as I could, past the figure in the hall and into the main part of the museum. Every statue was gone, off of where they were supposed to be. I knew the museum well. I could find another place to hide, and hopefully they wouldn't find me. As I ran frantically throughout the museum, I noticed something I didn't before. Way in the back of the museum were the escape exit stairs. I sprinted at the door and rammed my hands into the push bar as hard as I could. There was something blocking it on the other side. I kept pushing and pushing until it slowly started opening. Every time I pushed, the door opened more and more. I looked behind me and saw the entire room covered with stone people, and they were all looking at me, slowly moving towards me. I backed up and slammed into the door with all of my weight. The push bar let out a satisfying click as it opened up, and I kicked the door closed behind me. The room I had entered enveloped me in darkness. I stumbled around, trying to find my way out. I reached out and touched the metal railing. Then I found a step, then a second step. I could see through the window on the emergency door. The statues were getting closer and closer. I ran up those stairs as fast as I could until I saw light. 1 foot after the other, I got closer to being away from those monsters. I could see the moonlight coming from the rooftop door. I was a couple steps away. I was about to make it, and then I felt something grab my foot. It was so cold. Its face was barely visible, but it had a huge grin. The statue's grip tightened and its smile grew wider. I tried tugging, but it only got tighter. I swung at its hand with the fire extinguisher, but before I could hit it, I tripped and slammed my head down into the step in front of me. As suddenly as I made my way up, I was dragged down. My face hit each step on the way down with a thump. There was a terrible metallic taste in my mouth, and my nose was wet with blood. I couldn't see it, but I knew. I held the fire extinguisher close, cradling it like a baby. I looked up. The door in front of me was bombarded with dozens of silhouettes gazing at me. My muscles were fatigued, but I tried my best to lift the fire extinguisher up. Then I brought it down onto my ankle, and then again, and then again. I screamed in agony as I slammed the fire extinguisher down on the statue's hand, its grip tightening with every hit. I lifted it behind my head and brought it down onto my foot, breaking most of the stone hand's fingers off. The statue screeched and stumbled back. My ankle felt as if I had broken it, and I crawled slowly up the stairs, back towards the light. I pushed the door open and stumbled onto the roof. The sun had just started to rise, and I laid down, wiping the blood from my nose. I took one more look back at the door. It was open just a sliver, the face of a cold, dead, stony face looking back. I don't know what happened between then and now. I've been in a hospital bed for the last couple of hours, and earlier, the police wanted to ask me some questions. They told me they had found the bodies of 5 security guards in the women's bathroom. They asked me if I knew what happened. I told them about the statues. I told them everything that happened. They didn't believe me. They think I'm crazy. They think I killed those men. As I finished recounting my experience to the detectives, I noticed one of them jot something down in his notepad. He looked up at me with a somber expression. "I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but we searched the museum top to bottom. All the statues and exhibits were exactly where they were supposed to be. There were no signs of any movement or tampering. The security guards were found dead in the bathroom, but there were no statues or any other evidence found at the scene. Maybe it was my concussion, but I swear the detective's face was turning gray, turning stone. I sat there stunned, trying to process this information. How could that be? I knew what I saw. I experienced it all so vividly." The detective continued, "I'm afraid with no evidence to back up your story, and the mental state you were in when you were found, this looks like a straightforward case of a psychotic break. We'll need you to come down to the station for further evaluation and processing." "No, you don't understand," I pleaded. "It was all real, I swear. The statues were alive and they killed those men. You have to believe me." The detectives exchanged a look and stood up to leave. One of them pulled out a pair of handcuffs, while the other attempted to raise my hospital bed into an upright position. As the bed whirred to life and rose up, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the dark TV screen mounted across from me. What I saw made my blood turn to ice. Staring back at me was not my face, but a cold, expressionless granite face, the face of a statue. And then, a sudden realization hit me. Whatever chemicals were in that janitor closet had to have made me delirious. I passed out in the janitor closet. Maybe I wasn't in my right mind. Maybe those statues weren't statues. Maybe those were the guards and I was going insane. I think I might have killed the security guards.